Joining us right now is former Obama economic advisor Austan Goolsbee. Austan, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to see you, Maria.
So
party
we
in
know
Vegas,
we
huh?
all, party in Vegas. We all know what went on in 2006 and 2007 with the financial upset. And obviously, President Obama did come in at a very tough time. But Austan, how do you justify 1.4% economic growth almost 10 years later?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question. As you know, the U.S. has
it's been almost a decade.
Well, yes, but we've been growing. If you don't take one quarter, if you take the broader averages, we've been growing about 2 to 2.25% for some number of years. That's okay. That's not great. I'm not going to say, obviously, that that's a tremendously high growth rate. It is higher than the rest of the advanced economies in the world because everybody's had to get out from under a massive overhang of financial crisis, over leverage and things like that. And we had a popping bubble. I mean, I think those two plus a slower population growth rate are the three reasons why we haven't been able to get up above 2.5%.
Yeah, no, I just bring it up because, of course, we know what went on in 06 and 07, but I don't think it's enough to keep saying what Obama inherited at this point. Look, Mark Cuban was with me last night. He's obviously a successful businessman. He had a few words regarding Trump's economic plan last night. I want to get your reaction. Listen to this, Austan.
For guys like me, I'm going to pay more, and I'm fine with that. But again, when you look at I'd ask everybody, whether it's Secretary Clinton's numbers of her proposals or Donald Trump's, don't look at the 10-year proposals. Look at what happened in year one. Yeah. Look what happens in year four. By the time you get to year four, the deficit under Trump will be enormous. We could be at a horrible recession as a result. You can't look at 10-year projections because that makes no sense.
Is 10-year projections not the right way to look at it?
Look, I like 10-year projections, but he was saying something different. Our 10-year is the way we look at the budget in the U.S. He was saying, separate from the 10-year, look at year one, look at year four, how the economy's doing, because you've had a series of independent economists saying that Donald Trump's plan would drive us into a recession. So I think that what he was saying was, don't look at the 10-year budget thing. Look at how the economy is doing. But I agree with you that for the budget, the 10-year is the way to do it.
Hey, Austan, it's Dagan McDowell. How does Hillary Clinton's plan of raising taxes north of $1.5 trillion and more government spending, essentially more of what President Obama's done, how does that get us faster growth when growth, you will admit, at least in recent quarters, is lacking, to say the least?
Well, number one, it's not the plan is not just raise taxes on high-income people. It's use the money to make critical investments that we've got bipartisan choruses saying the economy needs, like investing in the economic infrastructure of the country, investing in training and education of the workforce. Those are critical investments that we can't afford to do if we don't have the money.
But President Obama signed about a third of $1 trillion infrastructure plan into law at the end of last year. We've still got $300 billion coming down the road now for infrastructure spending. Why do we need even more at this point?
But I mean, how long have you driven in the United States? Go out at the highways. You can see why we need to make the spending in the economic infrastructure.
Well, if you want to be intellectually honest, then you'll raise the gas tax.
But wait. If your idea is that what we need to grow is to cut high-income people's taxes and deregulate, then I think you've really got to explain, and this is how the context of George Bush came up. Donald Trump is proposing to do what George Bush did, only even more of it. And it didn't work when George Bush did it. So why is it that you think that cutting high-income people's taxes would give us magic beanstalk beans and start us growing back the way we were?
The fastest growth rate we've gotten in the last roughly since 2000 was in 2006 under President Bush. Now, I know that was before the financial crisis.
Yes, but you forgot what happened the year following that year. That's exactly the point, is that
so President Bush gets the blame for the housing crisis?
Minus. No, it's not blaming George Bush. Yeah. It's if somebody says, I'm going to do what he did, let's go back and see what happened when he did it. And that's exactly what happened at the debate last night.
It's a very hard argument to make that raising taxes on business and on the wealthiest individuals, and by the way, I have a problem with where Clinton's lever is for the richest Americans, $250,000. The dirty little secret is $250,000 is actually not rich in a lot of places, unfortunately. The latest Fox News polls show that voters favor Trump over Clinton when it comes to the economy. And it's a hard argument to make that doing the same thing that we've seen done in the last 8 years is going to get us anywhere, given the fact that we're still at this crawl pace in terms of economic growth.
Look, as I said, we're growing faster than any advanced economy. It's the longest string of private sector job creation in U.S. economic history.
So what? In other words, we're growing faster than what? Germany? We're growing faster than Europe? What are you saying? We're growing faster than...
Yes, we have grown faster than Europe, than Japan,
and
any advanced economy. Faster than Australia, faster than any rich country. So, if
do you think she needs
the
to
entire
move up her
plan will
lever?
raise taxes. What?
The highest tax rate is for those making over $250,000. Do you think that that's the right level? I mean, people making $250,000 and a couple making $250,000 or $300,000, they're going to have a very expensive 4 years. Very.
No, wait, Maria, you know how the tax code works. If you made $250,000, then you would pay the higher rate only on the $250,000th dollar. You would only pay that higher rate on the $1 above that. So
I understand
it's quite misleading to say that it's going to be a big tax increase at $250,000. Well, it would be a tiny tax increase.
We're looking at her brackets right now on the screen, Austan. What do you think the argument is to make that doing more of the same is actually going to... Why would it change now?
A, it's not more of the same. B, her plan is not just to raise taxes on high-income people. It's to use that money to make the critical investments, and those investments are what's going to lead to growth. If you think that doing the opposite, what George Bush did is what Donald Trump is proposing ×3, then why didn't it work when George Bush did it? So that, I mean,
well,
why is Silicon Valley in California, where they have high taxes and they have high regulation? Why isn't it on the island of Vanuatu, where they don't have any taxes of any kind?
But the president talked about infrastructure spending as well, President Obama. He wanted an infrastructure bank. How come it didn't work?
Because it was blocked by Republicans. What do you mean, why didn't it work? And that's exactly why it didn't work.
So it's Republicans' fault.
They didn't pass an infrastructure bank. So I think it's weird to ask why didn't the infrastructure bank work when they wouldn't pass it.
All right. Well, why do you think most people think that Trump's economic plan is better than Hillary Clinton's? Why do they trust Trump over Hillary Clinton when it comes to the economy, Austan?
I think you're being quite misleading. I think if we gather a collection of polls, they show that Hillary Clinton is overwhelmingly leading Donald Trump, that a vast majority of Americans view positively the president and his legacy. He has a higher approval rating than Ronald Reagan had at this point in his term. And I believe that the average of the polls shows that actually they quite favor Hillary Clinton on the economy. They don't favor Donald Trump.
All right. Well, we just looked at one of the polls, but we will check more of them. Austan, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.